Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're joining us and when you're viewing this. You might see the recording later on, but we appreciate you joining us. So, quick intro on who you're going to hear from today and what we're going to talk about. So I'll introduce myself first. My name is Todd Johnson. I'm based here in Chicago, and I have responsibility for FormusPro operations here in the United States. Majority of the heavy lifting today is going to be from my friends Paul and Peter, who have different accents that you might pick up on. So yeah, Paul and Peter, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves, and then we'll jump in.
Okay, I'm Paul Bowden. I'm Business Central Consultant for FormusPro, obviously based in the UK. I've got over 25 years experience in the Microsoft ERP space, from Navision as originally up to Business Central. Quite a bit of experience.
Absolutely, that's why you're here. That's the expert. And so, Pete, are you with us as well?
Yes, I am. Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Pete Taylor. I'm also based in the UK. I'm the practice lead for our Business Central division, or FormusPro. I've been with the business for 3 years, but worked in the Business Central and nav space for many years prior to that. So, yeah, worked in a lot of different industries and sectors, done lots of projects over those years. So hopefully mine and Paul's experience will help you guys move forward with your Business Central journey if you decide to go on it. So yeah, looking forward to this, and hope you get some good value from it.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Yeah, these guys, our business central team is as deep as you're going to find. So I'll throw the challenge out there. We'll try to stump them, right? Throw questions out there. So you guys get ready as we get in here. So let's jump in. We're going to talk about, I'll give you a little bit of background on our company, and why you might want to hear from us. And we'll talk a bit about, there's a group at Microsoft called TSI. That we're pretty big fans of, and I think most people on this call will be interested in learning more about them as well. And then we're talking about Business Central, and specifically how it can be extended in an easy fashion, particularly for nonprofits. And you'll get a little, I'll share a little bit of background in a moment about why that's so important to us, and why that's a focus of what we do. Just logistic things. You have questions, please throw them in the chat. There's a Q&A tab or throw them in the chat tab, but I'll try and keep an eye on those as we go. We will make the deck available afterwards if you're interested, or the recording as well if it's something you want to go back, refer to, or share with someone else in your organization. Our team can follow up and get that to you as well. So with that, let me jump in here and tell you a little about who we are. So you might get an idea. We're based in the UK. The company is just over 13 years old, if I recall, and we've been focused on the Microsoft stack, as you call it. So basically, solutions built on Microsoft technology. And that's all we do. Excellent team. One of the things I always like to point out is that we really truly partner with our clients. It's not the sort of scenario where we're going to come in and sort of screw in the light bulb and then disappear. We're there long term. Sometimes that means going on to bigger and better projects. Sometimes that means, hey, just need some little help along the way. We're going to be there to back up our clients long term. Based in the UK, we've been expanding around the globe here in the US, which is why I'm here, and why hopefully that's why we have this US audience here today as well. So a little bit more about our Microsoft focus, and so as I mentioned, this is all we do. And so there's a couple logos out here. I always like to point out, because I know not everybody understands how things work in the Microsoft partner world. These are not things I can just sort of go pick off a website and throw up here. These are certifications, solution partner designations is the official term Microsoft has. And what that means is we have to earn those. And they're not easy to earn. It requires a whole bunch of, our consultants have to go take a bunch of tests. We have to have proof that we have happy clients. And we have to renew this on a regular basis, essentially annually, to keep that up. And so there's two focus areas that I point out. So business applications, which includes Business Central, along with the rest of the Dynamics, sort of stack, ERP and CRM products. That's certainly a core focus for us. But also, then we're pretty proud of digital app innovation, which is the Azure side of things. We won't talk about that a ton today. It's good to keep in mind because that's what that allows us to do is we can basically connect and build frankly anything, right? So that means we're heavily skilled in the Microsoft tool set. Sometimes being able to sort of wire your systems together, or come up with a solution that's truly unique for your organization. We've got the ability to do that, and so it's not like we only know the accounting side of things. That's all we know, and we've got a much broader skill set in that, and we'll help you navigate through that technology to solve your problems. So. A little bit of idea on the kind of clients that we work with, and I sort of alluded to this earlier. So we do work with clients in all in all sectors, both commercial and nonprofit. But nonprofit is really kind of a sweet spot for us. So there's a number of them on there that will obviously jump out as nonprofits. And again, I'd hold up ones like Anthony Nolan. So Anthony Nolan, a cancer, focused nonprofit based in the UK. They've been our client since day one, and they're our client today. And I typically describe the work that we do as technology for good. And that's just an outstanding example of where we help an organization leverage the latest and greatest technology to go help meet their goals and mission, right? Yeah, the other thing I should make sure I mention here too is that and you'll see some of this when I jump to Microsoft TSI, is that this is the same technology set that Microsoft sells to the largest of the largest commercial customers. So I always think that's pretty amazing that even as a nonprofit, you get access to all this cutting edge technology that's proven, scalable, reliable, available, all those sort of important things. But we have a way to make that accessible for a nonprofit organization as well. With that, let me jump in a bit on what Microsoft calls TSI. So Microsoft Tech for Social Impact. So this is a group within Microsoft. This is Microsoft's mission overall. Which is pretty, that's pretty powerful, right? And it's pretty aspirational, but you start to dig into it, and they mean it, and they're doing some pretty compelling things with this. So as part of Microsoft, they've actually created a group that is specifically focused on the nonprofit world. And Microsoft do a much better job of going through all the details in this than I will, but essentially the idea is they're not trying to make money on this space. And so what they do is now, they certainly have some revenue, but what they do is any of the profits that they see, from working the sector, they turn around and have an investment model, around skilling, around training, and also, frankly, making some of their technology, very affordable, right? And so, and we're very happy to be part of that, right? And so they deliver that through partners. They do all the heavy lifting and all the R&D that creates these amazing technology tools. We're the ones that goes and go and understand what your organization is trying to do, and how the technology might help, right? The thing that's sort of there's some highlight sites of Microsoft, and again, give you an idea of what their focus is as a company overall. Impressive numbers. I mean, they back up what what their story is around how they want to help the nonprofit worlds and and social impact out there. So big numbers there. There's one slide that I want to get to that gets everybody's attention here. And I won't go through this in detail, but everybody asks, oh, well, okay, well, how much? So there's some highlighted sort of pricing things on here. The short version is, if you're a qualified nonprofit, Microsoft makes makes their technology very, very accessible, translated affordable, right? And so you can get an idea. Some of the things we're going to talk about here today, they're very powerful tools. I can tell you our commercial customers would just dearly love to have the kind of pricing that Microsoft offers for the nonprofit. So if you have questions on that, we'd be happy to chat on that. Happy to get you connected with Microsoft to make sure you understand how to take advantage of that, because it's some pretty pretty powerful, some pretty powerful stuff at an attractive price point. So, so today we're gonna well, here, let me finish up the TSI space. And again, we thank Microsoft for for helping put this together. We work with them every day. If you have questions and want help navigating the Microsoft organization, we're happy to do that as well. So, so today we're going to talk about something called Business Central. So if you haven't heard of it, Microsoft has a lot of products that not everybody knows about, right? So it's not just Word and Excel, which are awesome, right? But it's also, these are systems that can run your organization, right? So things that historically we call ERP or CRM. And today we're going to talk about something called Business Central, and we'll quickly sort of ask you to sort of search and replace Business Central with nonprofit on top of that, because it is very applicable, to nonprofit organizations. It's a very popular product in the market. They recently shared they have over 40,000 organizations using it worldwide. I wish I had a prospect ask me recently, say, well, what if Microsoft decides to get out of that business? Like, well, they've got, it's a pretty darn significant business for them. I don't see that happening, right? And so it's a pretty compelling solution that it's strictly a cloud-based solution at this point, which is which what lends a lot of the things we can do, comes from that. But the other thing, and Paul and Peter are going to talk more about this, is that there's a tremendous ecosystem around that. And so what that means is, there's a lot of existing things in the market, as well as in the product itself, that make it really easy to, connect, plug in, integrate with other things in your environment, right? And so that's one of the things we'll try to focus on today. It's like, we have the sort of core system out of the box. It's not the case where typically we have to go do a whole bunch of custom work to make that the bespoke solution for your organization. There are things on the market or things that we've done that kind of plug in there kind of easily, that basically tie it all together. So with that, I will stop yammering here, and I'll let Paul jump in and start telling us more about Business Central.
Okay, Business Central. The Business Central is a cloud-based ERP system. ERP means Enterprise Resource Planning. That's a very long and complicated way of saying a fully functional accounting package. Now, Business Central might sound like a new product. It certainly isn't. It was based on a product called Vision, which was introduced in Denmark in 1984. It was then purchased by Microsoft in 1995, rebranded as NAV in 2005, and then rebranded again in 2018 as Business Central. This is a very, very well thought out and comprehensive system. It contains several modules, which we will touch on. I won't talk about all of them, but rest assured, it is very comprehensive. The software itself, I'm sure you're aware of Windows updates. The software at the base software is continuously improved by Microsoft. That might be added functionality, it might be code fixes, it could be anything. That's automatically done by Microsoft. You don't have to worry about expensive upgrades, anything like that. All that's taken care of. It doesn't happen anymore. This is upgraded by Microsoft as it is. If you add any extensions to it, that's fine. They're kept separately. So the base software doesn't change, and neither won't affect the extension, and the extension won't be affected by the upgrade or the update. So you don't have to worry about things not working anymore. They always do. All of the extensions are certified by Microsoft to work with Business Central. You cannot legitimately buy a extension that is not certified by Microsoft. So it's a peace of mind proposal.
And two things real quick on that, Paul, is that one, it's a very mature product, but I got to say, it has I think the best interface of any accounting system you're going to see, right? And that's one of the things our clients also, it's very easy to navigate, and for an end user standpoint,
if we look at
it's
this screenshot here, you'll see it follows the Microsoft format of displaying their applications. If you can use Word or Excel or Outlook, you can use Business Central. They're all the same. They have the same paradigm in their interface. Very simple.
Yeah, that's what we find for a lot of nonprofit clients. It doesn't require a lot of training, right? I mean, they go to great effort to make it easy to use, which we really appreciate. And the other thing too, on the upgrades too. I mean, that's an important piece too. And so Microsoft typically does 2 major upgrades a year. The nice thing is they publish that way in advance of what's coming, right? And so they'll publish the release wave documents that are substantial. And the good news is, hey, guess what? You don't have to understand all that. We understand all that. But the upside is because Microsoft continues to make this R&D investment in the product, there's new things that it'll do in the future that doesn't do today. So it's not like you're buying a solution that is a point in time. It is, there are features, functions that, they have a pretty well mapped out, roadmap for these things. And so that's one of the things our clients tell us they like is like, hey, I've had this for 6 months and now it's better than when we started.
It's constantly moving forward. And that's a real nice thing about it. Compared to some of the old legacy systems where you have to upgrade them, it costs a lot of money to do that, and you were always on the back foot. This you're not. This is always moving forward.
Yep.
So I'm going to discuss a few areas of Business Central today, and I'm going to be mentioning this word dimensions quite often. This is a key part of Business Central, but it only takes a tiny little bit of imagination to understand it. What it is whenever we have a transaction in the system, whatever that transaction may be, we can tag it. By tagging it, we can say it's a this type of project, it's this type of donation. So we can then further down the line analyze everything in Business Central by using dimensions. So if you think of dimensions as a tag, that's it. And we could have multiple dimensions. We could have an entry against a cash receipt, and we could say it's received by this government agency, and it's for this, and it's for that, and it's for that. So we can have multiple dimensions on any transaction. That makes Business Central very powerful, makes the reporting very powerful. So just remember, when I say dimensions, think of tags, and you're on the right lines.
Yeah, and that's an important one, Paul. I know you're talking more about this, but yeah, a lot of our nonprofits, if you have a directed donation, and so you have you need to be able to track, how and where to spend that money, be able to report on it. That's something we deal with, and that's something that you can structure BC to Business Central to be able to do exactly that. So
absolutely, yeah. So if let's say there's a donation in a will, and that donation is for a particular project, you can tie the two together.
Yeah, I think a key application of dimensions, Paul, and the audience really is recording the fund, which fund the revenue or the income or the expense relates to. So reporting by fund is a crucial aspect of your reporting needs. So that's what dimensions would help you with.
Yeah, we'll come on to that later on, actually, in reporting. Yeah, using dimensions. So as Business Central is an ERP system, let's call it an accounting system, core functionality obviously is included. So here I'm just showing a picture of a purchase order. So we can raise a purchase order against a supplier or vendor, and we can then email that purchase order. We can print and post the purchase order. We could use electronic document interface. We send it automatically to the vendor. All these things are possible. However, what happens when we receive those goods and we need to pay the vendor? We can automate that via an extension in Business Central. So there's no particular human input. The purchase invoice will arrive and it will be matched to the purchase order and paid. So that is complete automation of the process. Makes processing documents, processing orders very quick. Obviously, you've got sales orders. If we're selling or we want to receive revenue for something we're selling, the same process applies. However, on the sales order side, we would then have a sales invoice, which is generated by the system. And again, that can go either by print or by EDI or email, however we want to send that invoice to the recipient. Balance sheet. I've just named it balance sheet because it's an overarching term. What I'm saying here is Business Central is an ERP system. It has full accounting capabilities. So we can include, obviously charts of accounts. We can do ledgers. We can do journals against any ledger. So it's basically a very flexible accounting system.
Yeah, and on the sales orders too, and again, I'll try and highlight. I'll try to put my nonprofit hat on, here and there. One of the things that the common things we see with the nonprofit clients are, you're doing regular fundraising things like you're doing an annual gala or something like that. And so, guess what? You need to take those funds and you need to go send out a record of those funds. Keep that and get that all recorded in your accounting system. We talked to lots of our clients where they're doing that manually. So it's spreadsheets, it's Post-its, it's and trying to track all that is not great, right? And so guess what? We can build all that, just integrated in the system. So you take that order. Someone bought the gala ticket. Guess what? Then you've booked that transaction in the accounting system. They get an email with a copy of the receipt, and they can have their tax records, all that sort of good stuff. Everybody's happy, and guess what? It's done and complete and accurate, and you don't have to go through and do it manually. So
absolutely, it streamlines the whole process, therefore saving time. Another part that I've mentioned is fixed assets. Obviously, fixed assets are an important part of any organisation. A fixed asset could be a building, facility, equipment, furniture, machinery, vehicles, ad infinitum. Obviously, from an accounting point of view, we then need to depreciate those assets over time. We have several methods within BC to do that. Straight line is the most common, but there are other methods there. What it also allows us to do is manage things like maintenance costs, managing insurance policies, things like that we might need to keep on top of. Here I said one of our assets is a Boeing 747. If it is, that'd be very nice because I imagine that's worth a lot of money. But the point I was trying to make here, it could be anything. A fixed asset could be anything you want it to be. So you don't have to. It doesn't have to be one of the things I said. It doesn't have to be a building or a computer or a chair. It could be anything you want.
Yeah, and aspirational. Yeah, you should be clear. This is sample data, so I'm not aware that any of our nonprofit clients have a 747. But
no,
you never know. If they did. They certainly want to be keeping track of it. But it's a good example of you do have things that you have to track, and that if they're a significant asset for you, then they're on your books. And you'd want to be able to have this kind of a record of it, and so we can handle that.
Absolutely. Yeah. The other thing I've mentioned here is projects. Now this is quite important, especially not for profit. If we are an analogy would be, okay, we have a donation or we have a bequest. and that is to build a children's playground. That would be a project. So as part of that project, we would need to know the timelines, the activities, and most importantly, the costs. We can also, using dimensions, allocate the costs back to the donation. So we know that donation in the end produced that product, that project. Quite an important point in we need to match the money ins and outs.
Yeah, and you know, another example that we see typically from nonprofits is, you know, so I've got an annual fundraising campaign, right? So guess what? I certainly want to track all the activity tied to that fundraising effort. And by and the other thing's really important is that, you know, this is a system, you know, it's a system record, right? So you have that data, you know, forever, you know, if you'd like. So that led you to do things about, you know, well, how am I tracking versus where I was at this point last year? Or, you know, let me do some comparisons about, you know, where I got some donations last year that haven't shown up yet, or, you know, some triggers on, hey, I got a really good donation I wasn't expecting. So, you know, we should have some folks doing some outreach to recognize and thank you for that. And so, you know, the ability to go manage that in a project lets you capture, you know, and you know, and sort of contain that. And then you've got that over time as well.
Yes, absolutely. Another aspect, and this is the point of sale. Now, when I say point of sale, I'm thinking of maybe perhaps a store where you sell goods, teddy bears, whatever it might be. But it could also just as well be what we would call in the UK a show, where you go to a show and you sell goods at a show. So you need to obviously record the sale, record the receipt, the cash receipt. Now, in a store scenario, we would probably end up wanting to do replenishment on shelves in the store. This is where items and warehousing come in. An item is basically just something that you sell. It could be anything. It could be a teddy bear. Okay. We know the cost and we know the sale price, so we know the profit we're making on selling that item. Great. We recognize that profit within the system. However, warehousing comes in when we need to replenish that location, that aisle or that shelf where all the teddy bears have been sold, and we need some more teddy bears to put on the shelf. That's where warehousing comes in. It also comes in when we've only got so many teddy bears and we need to buy some more from the supplier. So it will tell us, you need to buy some more teddy bears. And Business Central will tell us, I need to raise a purchase order for 100 new teddy bears to match your demand. And Business Central will do that. Now, the point of sale, the EPOS systems, as I say here, I've just got a picture of a till, what we call a till. What do you call it in America?
That's a cash register here in the US, but yes,
cash register, yeah.
Even though there's no cash, it's still a cash register. So.
Cash register, yeah, okay. But obviously, this could take card payments. It could take cash. We could take checks. If it's remote, let's say on a field somewhere where there's an event, you probably wouldn't want such a clunky thing with you. It's completely possible to have this all operating on a tablet with a card reader. It doesn't have to be a box like this. It could be a tablet. There are an awful lot of point of sale solutions available for Business Central, and it really depends on how far you want to go with that. But there are an awful lot available. Again, this is no code. This is out of the box. You just purchase that as an add-on to the system.
Yeah, Paul, I'm glad you mentioned the tablet piece. So that's one of the things, because Business Central is a SaaS, a cloud-based solution. We can run it on any device anywhere, right? And, you know, so, you know, do you want to do things on your phone? You can do things on your phone, right? So we're very, very flexible, and the interface adapts and responds differently depending on what kind of device you're on. And you know, this is one of the things too that, you know, we talked to a lot of nonprofits initially, like, oh, we don't do that, and you know, but the reality is, A lot of them do, so, I think examples are like, we're doing a tour and they're like, and there's a big storeroom and it's full of like, t-shirts. Like, well, what do you do with these t-shirts? Oh, well, people can order that. Or if they donate $100, you get a t-shirt. I'm like, well, guess what? you're doing e-commerce. You want to track those, and you need a way to, how do you track that? Well, it's a spreadsheet somewhere it's on Bob's, PC, but he's on vacation for a month, right? So again, these are all things that you can track, inherent, in the system. The other example that always comes up, is, around fundraising. Everybody loves, here in the U.S., everybody loves these auctions, right? I go to these frequently, so you need the ability to go record a sale, at the event. And you need a way to track that. And for some organizations, that's a big part of what your finances can be for the year. So,
Yes.
but we've got a way to do that and handle those scenarios with this as well.
It could actually be done in several ways. I mean, obviously, what the EPOS, but you could actually run Business Central on a tablet.
Yep.
You don't necessarily need this. You could just have Business Central vanilla as it is on a tablet. So there are several ways of doing this. I mean, it's completely flexible. Whatever suits that particular scenario. So a picture here of a store, but it could be, as you say, an auction. It could be anything. It could be a show in a field. It could be anything. So there are several solutions to achieve that, and all of them are no code. What I'm showing you here is a screenshot of the App Store. Now, my analogy of this is, I don't know whether you're aware of the Android and Apple app stores where you can download applications for your phone. This is a very, very similar idea, but these aren't applications for your phone. These are applications for Business Central. And there are, I believe, 6,726 of these. Now, you need to decide what type of extension you'd like for Business Central. You want a particular piece of functionality. More than likely, it's available here. One thing you might find is that you search, and there are 10 options. This is kind of where FormusPro come in that we would then help you decide which is the right one to go. One of the dangers in the Business Central world and in ERP in general is that a partner, whichever ERP supplier it might be, might say to you, oh yes, we can do that, and they write code for that, and you are then locked in to that supplier. These are all independent companies doing little pieces of information, little pieces of code, and these are all verified by Microsoft. So that means you could change your support partner tomorrow. It doesn't matter. You're not locked in. So the extensions is very, very powerful, very powerful part of the solution, and it's a very vibrant market. This was a snapshot. I'm sure by now this number has gone up. It's very vibrant. What I would say is that please engage with us to help you decide what, because there are always a number of different ones available, and you need to really think what you really want and choose the right one. And this is where we come in to help you with that.
Yeah, and I could see some folks might think that's overwhelming. That's too many, right? But that's where our experience with these tool sets comes into play. So we know because there can be often multiple solutions to the same sort of problem. And we've got a pretty good idea of which may be better for your given scenario. Our basic approach essentially is we're always going to go look for something that's available to extend versus having to do something custom. Now, if we need to, can we do some customization? Sure. But for most common scenarios, there's again, because of the maturity and the history of the product, there's a lot out there already. And so that's where we'll go help navigate, find the right, think of it as the right Lego blocks to put on top, to get the model you're looking for. So,
yeah, absolutely. So this is really where we come to help you navigate this environment. But the important thing to take away here is that there's so much available, already done. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's a very important part of Business Central, not reinventing the wheel. Now we're talking about fundraising. This is kind of interesting. Personally, I think that fundraising is best performed in Dynamics 365 CRM. The good news is that Dynamics 365 CRM, being a Microsoft product, talks directly with Business Central. Those two will talk to each other, and we can swap information between them. They're all part of the same stable. They're still all part of the Dynamics stable. They all talk to each other. CRM is perhaps the best place, I'd say, for campaigns. Direct debits. Now, Business Central can deal with direct debits out the box. There's no add-ins needed. However, if you do have a third-party direct debit application, we can talk to it and we can make that happen. Cash receipts, any cash receipts, we can log in Business Central, be it a donation, a government grant, whatever it might be. All cash receipts can be dealt with. Recurring billing, this is where we say, well, we're going to send a bill to that person every month, every quarter, every year. They've agreed that they're going to fund us a certain amount of money, and Business Central we put that in, we set it up, and Business Central just goes away and just sends that person a bill and says, please pay me. I think I mentioned this earlier on, but again, we can take car payments as a cash receipt, but that is obviously an add-on. It's not part of Business Central as it stands, but we can add that on. That's absolutely not a problem. And again, as I mentioned earlier on, dimensions, very important is to allocate funds to restricted and unrestricted pots, and obviously we would use dimensions to do that in the not-for-profit. We could also go down to capex, opex, any type of allocation you want on cash. But yeah, the most important thing is restricted and unrestricted on fundraising.
Yeah, a couple things there, Paul. Yeah, so fundraising and engagement, certainly donations, that is an important topic all by itself. And guess what? We know how to help solve that as well. And so we've done other webinars and talk in detail about the right tool set to approach that. Yeah, key thing again here is because it's part of this business applications family. There's no additional work to get that data into your ERP system, into the finance system. So it just works, right? And so and then again, things like recurring billing. And again, this is something the nonprofits that also like. So someone is making they're making an annual commitment, but they want to go pay that. I'm going to commit to go give you $100 every month, right? And so so now it's on you to make sure that you go out and ask for that and make that make that donation happen. The system can automate that, right? And so again, we see lots of organizations that struggle with this because it's just a manual process. And there's they miss things as a result sometimes. Guess what? We build that in the system. You can set that up, and so every month they're going to get that. They're going to get that reminder, or they click here and you get their money and on the next month. So
it just takes all the admin away from it. You just set it up once and that's it. You never look at that again. Well, hopefully you do. Hopefully you say, oh, a little bit more money this next time.
Yeah, right. Well, I see them in mind. Go, hey, we love what you did.
But next time, memberships. We can deal with memberships within Business Central. We can obviously record people's names and addresses, lots of detail. We can do that as well in Business Central CRM, and CRM can then talk to Business Central and populate Business Central. It can be done either way. and again with recurring billing if needed.
Yeah, this is another one too that we do work with a lot of nonprofits that are effectively membership organizations. So there's a separate set of sort of requirements and needs that they have. Again, we'd love to dive in more detail, and we can explain some of the solutions we've done specifically for membership, using this tool set. So
Yeah, I know, but we would be here for months. These are real headlines. Grant management. Okay. So obviously, on the grant management, we need to think about who the grant goes to, what it's for, the costing of that grant, of what we're doing with the money. And also, obviously, we need to worry about government payments coming into the system that might be allocated to a particular project. So we can do all those within Business Central. That's completely fine. The project management and costing is probably the most pertinent part there, in making sure, using dimensions again, that we allocate funds correctly.
yeah, and obviously for some of these, grants, that's exceedingly important, right? We've dealt with clients that, these grants, you may be given a multi-year grant, but part of that requires that every year you've got to go back and report, here's where it went, here's how I did. And if you're not able to do that effectively, then you're putting that money at risk. Right. And so this can be a challenge from the accounting standpoint, because it doesn't always, the timing doesn't line up with your fiscal year, or there's some, it's an 18-month grant, they're all sort of unique, right?
We're talking accruals. We can accrue it over several financial years, actually, if we need to. We can do lots of different things. It depends. It really depends on the circumstances.
But so what we can do is, so what we can do is make it, and this is sort of this dimensions concept that we've talked about, is we've got the ability to look at a series of transactions for specifically for that grant, and you have that that scope and sort of that point of view over life of that grant, or as well you can look at, okay, here's what here's what my books look like for the year, and it's all the same data. It's just a way that we are able to segment it and basically report on it in a way that you need to. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah. So yes, from a fiscal point of view, we can do all accruals, all sorts of things with the grants, but it really depends. Staff and volunteer management. Okay, so within Business Central there is an HR module. We can also talk to people like GoDaddy, Stripe, for income streams, like with volunteers on the streets receiving money. They could have a card reader, please donate. That's from a volunteer. Obviously, we could use general ledger accounts or dimensions to analysis of the donation sources. So was it from a auction? Was it from a show? Was it from on the street donation? Lots of different ways you could receive donations. Event management. If we have an event, whatever that event might be, we can again manage that in the projects module of Business Central. Works the same as any other projects. An event could be do you have gymkhanas in the UK, in the US? With girls on ponies running around and doing things, and people give money to charity.
I'm not sure the exact sort of thing, but you've got you've got my interest now. But
well, right,
yeah,
okay.
so
that happens here anyway. So, and that's the sort of thing you might want to use that for. And of course, with volunteers and staff, we need to manage expenses. We can do that in several ways. That could be a manual process. Most normally, it's an add-on again, and people have an app on their phone, and they'll just record the expense. That would then be authorised and paid directly to them. Obviously, that's quite important. You need to reimburse staff and volunteers.
Yeah, and lots of nonprofits, you get to be a certain size. Hey, you have part-time or full-time staff, so you've got employees and you're paying them. And so typically you're going to have, here in the US, you're going to have a payroll provider, you're going to have ADP or somebody, and to manage that, which is great. But now you have to get all that in your accounting system and all that. And guess what? There's integrations pre-built that will do that. And again, as Paul mentioned, for expense reimbursement, things like that. It can be just a nightmare trying to do that manually. There's add-ons. In fact, there's and we should have mentioned this earlier. Yeah, we use Business Central for our business. I mean, that is our core system that we run our organization on. And for expense management, we have there's an add-on to Business Central that we use that makes it really, really easy for us to make sure we track and grab the receipts and get it all categorized the right way, and then also get the right person reimbursed as well. So
well, that works very well actually. I mean, certainly recommend what we use to everything else. Actually, it works very well. The big question, or the big part of this, is reporting. Now, Business Central itself has, off the top of my head, I think about 700 built-in reports, and these are like anything really, profit. Well, you wouldn't have P&L, but forecasts, all sorts of things, cash flow forecasts. About 700 of them built in. However, we're not limited to ones that are built in and come with it. There are a couple of other options that we recommend. One is Power BI. Now, this is a Microsoft product again. This can sit outside or inside Business Central. The choice is yours completely. What this is generally used for is data visualization. So we can see here we've got a dashboard with nice graphs and maps and different types of information displayed in different types of ways. Power BI is very good for giving a headline view of your organization, to say this is where we're at, these are our donations, these are our this is where we're at to, and any part of your organization and what you're doing. So it's very good at a very in-your-face visualization of the data with nice pretty colors and things like that, you can see from here. However, there are other
two things on Power BI that just what I'm thinking of, Paul. And so the reasons why we like it, one is the visualization is great, and it's very easy to customize that, and so and different users might want different views. So
Absolutely.
Your treasurer controller might want one view, where your director of development might want a different view. It's very, very easy to do. And these aren't just pretty pictures; these are live data. So you can click and drill down to these things. And it's a very flexible tool. And one of the things I like is that it's running on that same data set that exists in Business Central. So it's not a case of, well, we've got to move the data from one system to another system to be able to report on it. That doesn't exist here, right? It's all looking at the same data, and so anything you're looking at, it's live, it's real time, and then you don't have this, you never get in situations like, well, I ran this report, but that was before we did something else, and so maybe this data isn't correct.
No.
Doesn't happen.
There is only one data source. There is only one truth, and that's what's in Business Central. So any reporting looks at Business Central, and that is the truth. There is no other. If you don't put it in Business Central, you can end up with silos of information that become out of date almost instantly. So I really never recommend people do that. Keep everything in Business Central, and then that way you've got one truth, and that's it. So yeah, I mean the other one is following a theme. It's reporting. There's a thing called Jet Reports. Now this really, I've given a picture to show you that you can use it to do dashboarding, but generally what Jet Reports does is take Business Central data and puts it into Excel, and it's normally, I'll say most of its fans, and there are a lot of them, are finance people. They like to slice and dice the data. Very, very powerful. I think I'm actually struggling to think of any customer that doesn't have it. It's very powerful. It allows you to take real live data and analyze it in Excel.
And everyone loves Excel, myself included. So, and again, this gives you, an idea how well integrated it is with the rest of the Microsoft stack, right? And so it makes it very easy. And so again, particularly if you got, deeper finance focused resources, they're going to live in Excel. They want to see their data in Excel. They want to be able to, slice and dice and report their heart's content. This lets you do that, but with again, without having to go through any sort of big effort from to get the data out of your system and into Excel. It's just there, right?
It's just there. Yeah, it's very simple, but very powerful. I've seen some huge jet reports in my time where people have gone to the nth degree on the reporting and on the analysis of data, but yeah, that's what people do. I'd say jet reports is probably more aimed at your finance users, whereas Power BI is more your executive type users, roughly between the two. But then, they can cross over. So
people wear a lot of different hats sometimes. So
they do. I know. I think what I try to do here is to outline these takeaways. I'm hoping that you now can see, okay, it's been a very high level, but you can see the Business Central will streamline your operations. You'll see that it's endlessly customizable. It can do whatever you want it to do. You don't need code. You can do most of it by yourself. You don't need expensive people. You can do most of it by yourself. And the most important thing is, if you get stuck, we're always here, and we'll help you out in any way we can.
Yeah, no, we're the experts. Microsoft will tell you that as well. We're geeks about this stuff and proud of it, and so that's our job, is to help you understand, how to make the most of this. So yeah, this is we kind of just scratched the surface, because there's a lot here, but hopefully give you some ideas and some areas of where it might help. With that, hey, we're going to finish on time. How about that? On budget and on time. So yeah. If you have questions, so Paul, thank you. We'll thank Pete as well. He had to run a client commitment, but hopefully get an understanding of, this is our expertise. This is what we do. We're big fans of the Microsoft product set, and Microsoft, does some things to make it really sort of interesting and accessible for nonprofits. And we'd love to have a further discussion to see how we can help you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul.
Bye.